We're back. What's up, y'all? World of Matchups in the house, Saturday morning, March 1st. Finally got over the beatdown that I took at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I've bounced back, and I'm ready to get back at it because there is no offseason in the National Football League. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching World of Matchups, NFL handicapping podcast coming to you live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Dexter Reed, and on the other side of the glass, my A1 from day one and producer of WOM. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in a very excited and giggling Spencer the Wiz. What up, dude?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've had a very different 2 weeks than you have when it comes to NFL football. I mean, my side is more about excitement, but mostly because it's the offseason, right? The worst part of the Raiders season is when they're actually playing. The offseason for the Raiders is always fun. It doesn't matter what year, and it's obviously no different this year. So as the draft season starts to hype up, the Raiders have a bunch of cap space. There's just, you can literally like play what if scenarios like on anything. That's how much like the Raiders can quite literally, in theory, do anything this offseason. So it just makes it more exciting. You know, I love draft season too. It's like my favorite part of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It always is, honestly. I have a little bit different opinions on who I think the top 10, best players are going to be in this NFL draft than you, but we are going to let you go first and spin with what you think your top 10 are. I'm sure some of them have to be the same. I can't see too many of them being different, but I kind of zagged this year where I think a lot of people are going to zig. So we'll let you set it off.
Yeah, I think you'll be surprised at how similar and how different our lists are. So we'll go one by one, but I think everybody's, number one for the most part. Any, I guess you could debate number two and number one. I mean, they're kind of flippable, but for me, it's Abdul Carter, and obviously for a ton of people too, it is. I mean, this is a guy who played all over the field, and just one season at edge, guy had like 13 sacks. He's got the bend, he's got the power to him. Special levels of speed and bend around the corner, which is something that we loved. We loved that out of the Penn State edge last year. Mm-hmm. He has those skills and more. So, and that guy was good last year. This guy's a special talent. Doesn't excel with like the bull rush necessarily or secondary moves, but if you have special bend, it's one of the most unique traits you can have as a defensive lineman. Like it doesn't happen every year. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes those power guys come through, the Tyree Wilsons of the world. Those guys are bull rush power guys, and sometimes they see success, but it's just normally when you see a guy who can just get around the edge like he can, it's just almost a surefire thing. It's a very rare trait to have, and he has that. And I think playing at the linebacker position helped him a bunch with that. So you'd kind of like to see maybe 2 years at the edge to refine the pass rushing moves, but I don't know, it was just so natural for him, and he's only going to get better.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, just a couple more things, like not the best against the run, but I think like a good defensive line coach is just going to turn him into a superstar very easily. I mean, that's really what it comes down to for me. Not the most like, oh, I'm so ready, like Will Anderson levels of like going into the NFL, but literally has every tool necessary. I mean, you're going to hear people compare him to Micah Parsons on draft day, and there's a good reason for that.
I like his closing speed. I like his hands, man. I like his hands, bro.
I think that's a theme for you.
Dude, if he gets his hands on you, it's over. And I like that he can drop into coverage. These are things that a guy at this position is not supposed to be doing. And he does it. And he does it at an extremely high level. And he does it versus good teams. He's not playing against scrubs. Penn State just pushes these type of guys out, man. I watched one game where him and another prospect that I have very, very high on my list, I watched them two specifically versus Oregon. And let me tell you, man, Oregon won the game, but these two players were all over the field. And if there would have been some more time in that game, they might have closed that gap and pulled it out. Abdul Carter was all over the field, bro. I mean, he was just leaving laundry all over the field. There were jock straps all over the field. There were cleats all over the field. Like, You can double whatever you need to do to this guy, and it's not going to matter. The injury is a little concerning, but it's not overly concerning because it sounds like the surgeons do not want to perform surgery on him at this time. I don't think that it's going to shy teams away. I don't think it's enough to shy teams away. I think he's still the consensus one. I like the kid's headspace. He doesn't sound like a kid that's getting in a whole lot of trouble. And he's just a machine, man. He's a machine. He's got all the tools. There's a reason why he's going number one, guys. I mean, I can't see a reason why Tennessee wouldn't take him.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? I mean, do you hate Will Levis that much? This is really what it boils down to. Do you not believe in Will Levis this much to
for a potential upgrade? Yeah.
I mean, is it really going to be an upgrade? That's the thing, man. Is it really going to be an upgrade? I mean, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Is it? I mean, a lot of people will say, yeah, it's an upgrade. Will Levis is just big guy with an arm. However, I don't know. I could see Abdul Carter being the type of talent that you pass on and then have to play him in the biggest game of your life, and he just wrecks you. You know what I mean? So I like him number one overall, and to me, it's a slam dunk. I don't have it where it's a flip-floppable, any of that. It's he's one, and then there's everyone else.
I agree with you in a sense. So obviously we're going to switch over. Everybody knows who number 2 is, right? It's Travis Hunter. The guy's played cornerback and wide receiver. Some things do concern me in the sense of he wants to play 100% of the snaps on both offense and defense. Now he basically won't be able to choose when he goes to a team. But and a lot of people, like, this is such a polarizing player because it just never happens. You've never seen this before. Like, some people say he needs to specialize at wide receiver or he needs to specialize at cornerback. You know, I disagree. But I don't. He should not be obviously playing 100% of the snaps both ways. He's going to be averaging about 5 games a season, right? At that point, this is a very young kid coming out of college who just won the Heisman Trophy. So obviously he wants to say things like that. It's like it comes down to: do you want him to play cornerback more, or do you want him to play receiver more? And that's the hard decision because, yes, like, first of all, a once in a generation level athlete. I mean, like a Deion Sanders level athlete. Right? I think we can say that at this point. But he's not like the world's best wide receiver, and he's not the world's best cornerback. But I tend to think that he should play cornerback more, although it would be easier to slip him into the defense with a bunch of different packages. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to Travis Hunter. I mean, without a doubt, he will be playing both positions. I mean, anybody who thinks that a team is going to force him on one side, I feel like he would like literally say, no, I'm not going to play for your team in draft like interviews. You know, he'd be like, I'll make your life miserable if you try to force me on one side of the ball. It's just like, I think he would be better as the number one cornerback on a team, and then you play him in and throw him into the slot every once in a while on special look. Because, yeah, you do want this guy to be playing wide receiver, considering what he can do when the ball is in his hands, right? It could be an explosive play on any moment. It just doesn't have that super polished route tree that you'd kind of like to see out of like a number one wide receiver. So I just don't see him in that role. I don't know if you have a different opinion. Obviously, you know, he's like the Shohei Ohtani of football, and not to say he's not a talented wide receiver. I just think he's such a good cornerback. It would be a waste to see him play full-time wide receiver. I don't know what you think about it.
I think anybody that wants to play this guy 2 ways is an idiot.
Really? Okay. I'm telling you, this is a very polarizing draft. I think we're going to have drastically different opinions.
So he is a press corner. Okay? Press corners are hard to find in the NFL with that kind of talent. What he does really well is play press corner. That's what he does. He is a very mid wide receiver. He was a mid wide receiver in college at Colorado versus that talent in that conference. You're now putting him in the NFL. The talent pool doesn't get worse. It gets better. So is he all of a sudden going to now grow and become better than he was in college? I don't think so. Everyone's fast like Travis Hunter in the NFL. And he's not particularly built. So he kind of reminds me of what Dale Carter used to be. I don't know if you even remember who Dale Carter was, a little bit before your time, but he played a lot of corner for the Kansas City Chiefs back in the 80s and or I think it was the late 90s when they had like Mark McMillan and James Hasty, and they really had a solid defense. But he also, every now and then, got sprinkled in. Marty sprinkled him in, and he made some big plays. He played two ways to the point where I remember I even bought a Dale Carter jersey that was a reversible. Well, no, you know what I mean? And it was the
That's
reversible. It was cool. Yeah, I think I might even still have it. And it was reversible because he was known to play both ways. This is what I see from Travis Hunter. There is no Shohei Ohtani that's going to ever be in the NFL. It's too much of a man's game. It's too physical of a game. Shohei Ohtani can strike out, go drink some Gatorade, take a leak, and then hit the mound. It's just not feasible. It's not sustainable in the National Football League. And of course, these teams, Cleveland, Tennessee, they're not going to say this. They're going to want to draft a guy. But once they have the guy, he's doing what they are going to have him do. What's more feasible to me is that they try to turn him into maybe a kick returner. Eric Metcalf, Josh Cribbs. But putting this guy out there for more than a handful of plays a year, you're asking a kid to get demoed. He gets demoed, now you're out your top one, your starting cornerback. Come on, guys. Let's not be prisoners of the moment. College is not football. We have to be rational thinkers here. Travis Hunter's going to command how much money when it's all said and done? You're going to have that guy out there getting hit by Ray Lewis-style players? No, stop. I can't see it. I know what everyone is excited about because he's so electric with the ball in his hands. Well, if he's that electric with the ball in his hands, make him a punt returner, make him a kick returner, or if he's really that good, just enjoy the ball in his hands when he's picking it off, because otherwise you're going to get this kid killed.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think we're generally more aligned on that than I thought we would be. So I think the ideal landing spot for him is Cleveland. Because I feel like Stefanski is going to be able to use him offensively appropriately.
Cleveland.
If the Titans get him and they're just lining him out there at the wide receiver position, I just don't think that's the best place for him to be. He needs to be with a offensive-minded coach who can just put him into packages versus trying to slot him in as wide receiver too. I think those are very different situations.
There's a couple of guys in this draft that I am so sold on where they're going, it's not even funny. And Cleveland is getting this guy. They're releasing a couple of their other star players and a couple. I think they're releasing their safety. Thornhill's gone. I mean, they're gonna rebuild the defense. I mean, they have nothing in Cleveland, man. The one thing that they have always had is defense. Just stitch the name on the jersey and call it a day. This guy's going to be a Brown. I'd be shocked if he goes anywhere else.
I would, in a way, I would be too. I'm surprised about number 3 because I thought I would be alone in this opinion. I thought you would be very anti-Cam Ward, but as a little spoiler, you also have Cam Ward at your number 3 spot. I am a Cam Ward guy.
I'm a Cam Ward truther.
Hard. I try to do player comps when I feel they are appropriate. I'm not always like, I need to have a player comp because some of these guys are quite unique, and Cam Ward fits into this category for me. I've heard anything from the Patrick Mahomes archetype, Jordan Love, I think Big Ben I saw the other day. I mean, people will compare this guy to anybody, but it is because he's such a unique prospect. I did a very deep dive into Cam Ward because I'm fascinated with this QB draft, and also the Raiders are in the hunt for a quarterback. So I'm a little more excited. I do a little bit more homework than I normally do. Awesome feel in the pocket. I think that's that's such an important trait for a quarterback. I just get the sense that he just has this kind of situational awareness, which is something you really pretty much can't teach a quarterback, as we've seen. So the fact that he has it is a big plus in my opinion. He'll pick you up, like if you're rushing 3 in the hopes of just like setting guys out there and locking down everything, he'll find it. He'll pick you apart. So another thing that I really like about the guy, you can't just drop players and not expect this guy to find someone 20 yards down the field. He could juke you out of your moves if you try to hit him in the pocket. I mean, again, like that's so hard not to be excited about because there's just not that many guys who can do that. It's a very important skill that is impossible to teach. So really good with those intermediate 15 to 20 yard throws. It's like the best part of his game. He will just hit a rocket to you 20 yards and you'll be moving the chains, which I really like. That seems to be his specialty. He can throw with anticipation. He has shown that. I mean, that's kind of something you can teach a quarterback, but it's nice that it's a more developed skill for him coming out of college. In my opinion, his weakness is the deep ball. He doesn't have a super nuclear arm like Josh Allen, and so when he throws these really deep balls, he like really has to wind up for it, and that's just not something that you love to see. I don't think it's gonna like ruin his career necessarily, and it's not like he can't throw the ball deep. It's just it's obviously not his strong suit, and something that I think is worth mentioning. Um, doesn't know when to let it go, so he's gonna have to have an offensive coordinator who can teach him discipline because that's going to kill you in the NFL. That quite literally loses you games. I mean, turnovers obviously are one of the most important metrics in any football stat when it comes to wins. And I think you could see a lot of turnovers from him in year one because he just wants to do it. And I think that's fine for a rookie season too, by the way. I don't think that's the worst thing ever, but certainly something worth mentioning. I'm going to say he reminds me of Jordan Love the most. And I think his floor is like Geno Smith. Not the Geno Smith that we're used to, like the good couple years we saw out of him in Seattle. I see a lot of that in Cam Ward with an ounce more of athleticism, the ability to run kind of more than Geno Smith. So, but in terms of his pure passing ability, it reminds me of those like kind of last two seasons with Geno Smith. I could see that being like the worst of his abilities in the NFL.
I want you guys to think Cam Ward to Malik Neighbors and what that will look like in the National Football League, because that is what I believe is going to happen. Cam Ward is an absolute playmaker. He's a playmaker, and I honestly think that his time at Washington State helped him be as good as he was when he transferred over to Miami. He is an absolute threat with the ball in his hands. Now, pocket passer, I'm not sold on that. Good quarterback coach can help him with that. Deep ball's not there. But everything else is there. Speed, elusiveness. He's stronger than you think, man. And he drills the ball over the middle of the field. And then when it breaks down and the chips fall down, he's going to turn into something that looks like you created him on Madden. It's a hard sell to pass this guy at number 3 if you are a team like the New York Giants. You have gotten so much egg on your face the last couple of years. You got so much bad press. If it could have gone wrong, it's gone wrong. Do yourself a favor here. Draft Cam Ward, stitch the jersey, and start the next part of the regime that you have there with Brian Daboll and company, because you don't have anybody outside of Neighbors and maybe your running backs that inspire any kind of confidence in what you're doing moving forward. So, this is what I would do. I would take him. I wouldn't think twice. I think the kid is got so many touches of other quarterbacks in him to kind of create him. You know, I see him throw across his body like only Mahomes can do, and I actually have seen it do it with a little bit of success. There's a little bit of Mike Vick to him. Like you said, there is a little bit of the good version, of the Seattle quarterbacks. There's just a bunch of different things he does well. He's not overly big at 6'2", but he's stronger. Like I said, he's stronger than you think. And the escapability part about Cam Ward is what I love the most, because these these pockets break down, man. These guys are sending the house. The Spagnuolo blitzes are coming now, and you're seeing it happen from more DCs. I mean, look what Fangio did to Mahomes. I mean, the best quarterback in the world, man. And the guy couldn't cross the field, And so having a quarterback that can be a 5-tool quarterback, or at least a 3.5 out of 5 tool quarterback, you can't let drop. He's my number 1 quarterback overall in this draft, and it's not even particularly close.
No,
take the guy.
It's not close
take the guy. And listen, if there's a team out there that really wants this guy, the Raiders, you know what I mean? Like, guys, mortgage your future and trade up. To get, you must give. You cannot be scared, guys. You have to be willing to roll the dice. You know what I mean? If you want the girl, you have to be willing to go talk to her. I mean, I will always go back to this because it proved to be true. Like, look what the Chiefs gave up for Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to do it. If you really see something in this guy, you have to do it. And again, like the AFC West is going to be a gauntlet. He's going one of two places for me. He's the Raiders are trading up and taking him, or the Giants are going to take him. I can't see him going anywhere else. Those are the two teams that need him. I'd be shocked if Tennessee took him. I really would be. But to me, they have a quarterback, man. I think Will Levis is a product of bad coaching. I do. If Mike Vrabel was Will Levis's quarterback, we'd be having a different conversation. We'd be having a different conversation. Will Levis did not get drafted because he's a bad quarterback. He's shown flashes. I think there's enough there. I do. And so I would take Carter from Tennessee, and I'd take Hunter from Cleveland. And if I'm the Giants, man, don't play around. This kid is potential generational talent at quarterback.
Yeah, and everyone is going to be holding their breath for the first overall pick. I mean, this is going to be a very chaotic draft. There's going to have to be a lot of like your draft room is going to have to just be solid, tight, because
Tennessee could wreck this draft.
If Tennessee does not take Cam Ward, which I think a lot of people think they will. I would say the majority of people think that they're going to take Cam Ward. If they don't, and they take like Abdul Carter, let's say, for example, the world's going to get set on fire. I mean, they're going to have like 15 phone lines, because that changes the whole dynamic of everything.
It wrecks the draft.
It does. It really does.
It will be worse than when Jalon Carter wrecked the draft.
Yeah, big time.
It will. Dude, everyone's going to have plan A, B, C, and D. Because if Tennessee takes Cam Ward, you're going to need more than your 5 minutes or whatever, 2 minutes it is.
The phone's going to break. It's going to break.
It will break. It will break because at that point, they have to take Carter. And Myles Garrett's not happy. Myles Garrett's not re-signing with the Browns. He is going to force his way out of Cleveland. And I don't blame him. I do not blame him one bit. So at that point, now you're looking at the future. Boy, the Browns are in a bad spot. The Browns are done. The Browns are not going to be good for another 15 years.
If I'm the Browns, if I'm being honest, and let's say Cam Ward is taken first overall, you trade back to like 6 maybe or something like that, you know? I think, and they stock up. I think that'd be the best case scenario. I know you don't want to give up on a guy like Travis Hunter necessarily, but there's so many problems for them, you know, and you would get really good offers. I think you would get great offers.
Yeah.
Or let's say that Abdul Carter is taken first overall, and that's your ideal case for them. Obviously, I'm sure that's who they want.
I would take Cam Ward.
Suddenly, the Giants and the Raiders are calling you in a bidding war for Cam Ward. You know what I mean?
I would rape the cupboard. I mean, you got a car that's leaking oil. It needs new tires. The engine is going. The interior is rusted. And you can get one pick to fix those 4 things, or you can trade those picks and get a brand new car.
Raiders have 2 third-round picks. I mean, oh, dude. Obviously, like, if you're the Browns and the Raiders call you, you're taking their pick, obviously. You're taking 6. You're getting another first round at least. I mean, maybe more, but you get another first round.
You're going to get more.
You get their third rounds, and you get in second round. Dude, you would just get so much, man.
I would do that.
And the talent in the top 10, dude, if
There's
you pick
so
a 6,
much.
you're good, man.
There's so much.
Cleveland, man, is praying, I think, every day that Cam Ward is not taken first overall. Truly, I do. Because a quarterback, I really don't see them taking. I know they're a quarterback-needy team, but it's just so depressing. It's like, what is a quarterback going to do for the Cleveland Browns next year?
Nothing.
You know what I mean? Like, nothing. Literally nothing. So
might as well have kept Jameson starting him.
Some people are way too like insane about Cam Ward too. To finish up my thoughts on him, it's like some people think he's like not an NFL quarterback. I'm like, dude, this guy would have been taken like neck and neck with Jaden Daniels last year in terms of like how people scout him. Let's be honest here. I mean, Cam Ward is a top 10 prospect. If you think he's just not good, like period, like there's some people are so extreme about like Cam Ward and Shador Sanders, like way too much one way or the other. I'm not saying Cam Ward is the number 1 quarterback in every year's draft, right? But he's still really good. Like if you look at his tape, he's still very talented. A top 10 quarterback in any draft in the past 10 years, easily, very easily. Like that's how good he is, in my opinion. So
I agree.
All right, number 4, we're going to keep rolling here between me and you. I don't think this is a surprise for anybody.
I love this kid.
Just an absolute tank, man.
This is a game wrecker.
If I'm the Raiders, the guy who's number 1 on my draft board, who could realistically get to you, right? Travis Hunter's not going to fall to you. Abdul Carter's not going to fall to you. There is a legitimate chance for the Raiders at number 6 that Mason Graham is there. And I think, obviously, if he is, it's a very easy pick for them. I don't think they would even think twice about it, to be honest with you. But game wrecker, right?
Relentless.
Blue collar, never stops for a second.
Relentless.
Can shed tackles away from raw strength alone. Deep bag of pass rush moves from the defensive tackle position. It's insanely rare to see the kinds of pass rushing moves that this guy does. He does have a shorter arm length. I said I didn't care about I can't think of his name now. He was incredible last year at the defensive tackle position. Everyone said he has short arms. Everyone cares so much about short arms. I think it's the most overrated. It's like it's an overrated.
It's an overrated metric for sure.
This guy's an absolute beast. This is such a no-brainer for anybody who gets this guy in the top 10 is stealing someone in the draft. And the only reason I think that he could get there is because of what the teams in that top 5 range need. Like, man, the Jaguars are so desperate for an offensive lineman. Would they love to have Mason Graham? Is he the best player available, when they're drafting? Yes, absolutely. No question about it. This guy is easily could be the 3rd best player in this draft. But offensive linemen get inflated value. We're talking about a defensive tackle here. So kind of interesting. I don't know where he's going to land. Like the Patriots. Oh, man, the Patriots love defense. But, dude, they don't have a wide receiver. They quite literally don't have a pass catcher on their team. Can they go another full year without a pass catcher? I don't think so. I don't think T. Higgins is just going to roll on in enticed by money to go play for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like T. Higgins is going to get paid, right? And he's going to want to go to a team that's at least playoff viable. I don't think this guy is looking to just give me the biggest contract. I don't care. I'll sign to the dotted lines.
If you pay a guy enough, he'll go anywhere, bro.
I don't know. We'll have to see. But
thing is, the Patriots are kind of like the trust the process team because they're just like, we know we're not going to win, but we're going to win down the road.
You're going to go 2 years in a row of not giving your star quarterback.
Well, the problem is that they screwed this year up by not starting Drake May and having Gerard Mayo be their coach. So it's a wash year. Now you're giving May the full year with a real head coach and former Patriot and Mike Vrabel, and this kid has the Patriot way written all over him. This kid is an absolute monster. He is relentless. The motor never stops. Pancaking fools. Double teams mean absolutely nothing. His hands are great. His vision is great. And he hunts. He hunts. Dude, there's a guy like this once every couple of years. This high, ready to go. And I think this kid's ready to go, man. He sheds blockers like no one I've ever seen. And look, when you have a guy that can track a quarterback, not everybody can do this. Like, literally, he knows which way he's going, and if they try to do something, he knows what plan B is, and he's getting home more times than not. I mean, remember, Michigan plays great competition, too. Great competition in that conference. And the size and strength to me make it absolutely undeniable at number 4. I love this kid. He's one of my favorite picks in the draft. I hope he ends up going to the right place. I don't know if the Patriots are going to be in the market for him because they just have so many other needs. But defense wins championships, man. I mean, if the ultimate goal at the end of the season is to be hoisting a trophy, I mean, look what the Eagles just did. I'm going to keep coming back to this, man. I'm going to keep coming back to this, and it's because you fools out there, the last couple drafts Spencer and I have done since we started World of Matches, we just sitting here throwing our hands up, asking ourselves, how does Nolan Smith end up falling to the Eagles?
I know.
How does Jalon Carter end up falling to the Eagles? You guys let off-the-field distractions and this nonsense about the guy's character keep you from taking a talent that can win you a Super Bowl. Guys, do you want a pastor or do you want to win a Super Bowl? Okay? The Kansas City Chiefs have 19 arrests in the last 5 years. 19. Dude, 19. And they have 3 Super Bowl wins. Look, you have to, and I get it. Okay, I get it. You want to come into the league when you have this BYU mentality as a GM and you don't want the guy who's always in trouble. I get it. But again, look at Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was a great kid coming out of college. And look at you now. Do you want to win? Do you want to win? I'm not saying everyone's going to end up like Henry Ruggs. Guys, what I'm saying is you don't know. The guy could have been going to prayer meetings every week, be a straight A student, and then end up like Aaron Hernandez. A guy like this must be taken high by a team that wants to win. I'm sorry. I can't do. I love this kid. He might be my favorite defender in the draft. He might be.
He's a guy who I think is worth trading up for in the right
I'd
situation.
trade up for this guy in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think twice.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even think twice.
Personally, I really love this guy. He's the most NFL-ready prospect in the draft.
Fact.
For me. He's just going to fit in and be good day one, in my opinion.
Yep.
All right. This is where things get a little wacky between me and you. This guy, I'm shocked is not on your top 10 list. I'm talking about Tetairoa McMillan. This is... You're looking at Drake London. That's just who this guy is.
He's got some problems.
He's lengthy.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Got some problems, though.
Let's go through my scouting report here. I know here we go. Easy comparison to Drake London. It reminds me a lot of Vincent Jackson, actually.
I have him 15th on my list.
Wow. I see a lot of DK Metcalf in terms of his frame, not necessarily their playing style, but frame. This guy is, I just think he's going to, I don't think this guy's ever going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Nope.
But look at what Drake London is doing for the Falcons. The Super Bowl has proven over and over and over and over again, your number one wide receiver needs to be like top 15. He doesn't have to be top 3. In fact, it's probably worse when it's top 3 because it messes up your old cap space situation. Drake London, when it's his time to get paid, he will get paid a lot of money, no doubt about it. But I just think that if you're picking a guy like this in the top 10, you can't lose because he's going to be a productive wide receiver for you from day one. He's going to be a 900, 1,000 yard season guy for the next 8 years. And
maybe. Okay, I hear what you're saying, okay? But let's say he goes to the Patriots. Is he going to put up those numbers? I see McMillan as being nothing but a 50-50 ball guy. With speed. That's what I see him. I see him being T. Higgins, not as good. And T. Higgins is really as good as he is, honestly, because he's got Jamar Chase on the other side of the field. You take T. Higgins and you put him on the Patriots, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I like him. Don't get me wrong. But I don't have him as high as you do. And to me, I think Drake.
The production speaks for itself. With
I think the production. I think the production is there in college, versus the talent that he was playing against. But a slimmer frame guy that's tall does not also just equate to big numbers. I mean, I don't know. Got nice hands. Will get it from the other guy. There's no question about it, and can run by the other guy. But if that's what you're bringing to the table in the NFL, that's not necessarily going to make you a top 10 wide receiver in this league. Doesn't get off the ball that great. I don't know. Not necessarily being a bigger body guy like DK Metcalf is a good thing in the NFL. I mean, let's be honest, man. For the air raid that Ryan Grubb employed last year, Metcalf had a down year, and now they're looking to move him. Yes, he's a physical specimen. Okay, but there's more to being a great wide receiver in the National Football League than that. Just because you're tall and fast doesn't mean you can play football at the next level. And so he's good. I like the kid. I don't like him enough to have him that high. I'm sorry.
I think if you're the Patriots,
take this kid.
Yeah.
He's ruined if the Patriots take him. Name the last wide receiver the Patriots hit on. I'll wait.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like you can't have that mentality when you go into the draft just because you didn't draft well. And I'm going to talk about another prospect who fits a very similar.
Jalen Polk was a ghost. This
guy is not Jalen Polk.
I understand that. But did Jalen Polk play football last year?
Yeah, but you can't be scared to draft a wide receiver because you don't have a good history on it. I mean,
I understand that, but
it's the number one position of need for the New England Patriots. It's the number one position of need.
I understand that, but free agency is a real thing, and you can find guys. Me personally, I am taking the generational player in Mason Graham over him if he's there.
Well, he's going to be there. I mean, both of these guys are going to be there, so it's going to be their choice.
Well, maybe. See, like we think
This
we
is
know.
the problem that the team had taking Drake May. You're going to wait
4 years.
I mean, at least
4 years.
4 years to not give him anything to work with. That cannot be good for his development. There's
Okay,
no way.
okay. Hear me out.
It's not like they have
hear me out.
Myers on their team who they left.
Hear me out.
By the way,
Christian Kirk to the Patriots. He's gonna get released. He's gonna get released.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, if the Patriots were gonna draft Drake May, you're not gonna build around the guy. This is your franchise quarterback. They haven't even thrown him a bone. They have to do something this year to help him out. You're going to ruin this guy's career at the pace that they're going. Plain and simple.
I don't know. I don't like McMillan enough to put him that high. I just don't.
This has to be a young quarterback's dream, a guy who they can just throw the ball up to pretty much at any point in the game. This guy is, I'm telling you, man, this is going to be a productive wide receiver in the NFL.
He could be. It could be. I think a lot of
wide
it.
Receiver, a productive.
One. I think for him, what really matters is where he lands. It's just where he lands. You know, if he lands in the wrong spot, he couldn't be doing a whole lot of nothing. You know, there's a lot of wide receivers that have been drafted in the last 10 years who were amazing in college and have done absolutely nothing in the NFL. And when I say absolutely nothing, I mean absolutely nothing. So to me, to have him at 5 is a bit too. It's not crazy. For me, it's too high. Next.
All right. Going on to number 6. Back on track between you and me, pretty much. It's Ashton Jeanty.
To the Cowboys.
This shouldn't surprise him. I don't think he's going to make it that far, to be honest.
The Cowboys are going to trade up and be stupid and take him.
I think that the running back position gets a big boost this year. Well, first of all, this is one of the greatest running back drafts I think we've ever seen. There are so many guys who I think are RB1s in the NFL coming out this year.
There's guys late. There's
third round,
third, fourth, fifth. There's guys late. If you need a running back, you wait, and you wait late. Outside of Jeanty, you go late. But this kid is just amazing. This guy was robbed of the Heisman.
Yeah, you know, it's actually quite ironic that like the RB position is inflated this year just because of like
after what we saw just happened. Yeah,
and it's funny but the problem is that there's so many good running backs that they're going to fall naturally despite being like inflated on probably draft boards. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's literally any like when you even get to the guys like Trey Henderson, he could be a second round pick, like an early second round pick, or a third round pick. Like you really they could be taken at any pick starting in the second round. Some of these guys, it all just depends on the scouting process, obviously. But you know, no question about who is RB1 in this year's draft. It's Jeanty. Had one of the greatest running back seasons we've like quite literally ever seen. This guy has a great just balance when it comes to breaking tackles.
How did he not win the Heisman? Please explain this to me.
Oh, he deserved it in every possible way. I think that I don't know why first of all, they gave it to him before the season was over. Like Travis Hunter won it before, like we all knew. It's crazy. It's like,
ridiculous.
Really? There's nothing this guy can do. This guy's having one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen. But you know, he's a wrecking ball, like a plus. I like to do a plus rating. I don't know why. I have a plus, which is like pretty much the farthest it goes for me in terms of scouting for balance. I mean, which is one of the most like important traits. He does do well with ball security. I know he had a horrible game against Penn State. I'm not going to discredit his entire college career because of
one game.
People are crazy. First of all, he had like 100 yards in that game too, by the way.
Travis Kelce had the worst game of his life in the Super Bowl. Did that discredit him from being top 3 tight end of all time? Guys, it's one game. Look at the guy's body of work. This kid is an absolute monster. To me, what I really love about him so much too is even at 5'9", 215, he has the patience of a Le'Veon Bell. He never is in a hurry in between the tackles. A lot of these National Football League running backs are so in a hurry to just hit that hole so hard and get past the guy that they miss the fact that the hole hasn't even opened yet. And now it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Not this kid. The vision is incredible. The patience is there. The hands are there. If Dallas doesn't find a way to take this guy, I don't know what are they doing. I mean, where else is he supposed to go? Not a lot of running back needy teams.
I mean, the Raiders could take him at 6. I mean, I don't think that's outside of the world of possible. If I'm being honest, I think especially with Pete Carroll, I don't think would be the greatest 6th pick of all time.
I wouldn't like it. The Raiders need a quarterback. They need a quarterback, dude. You cannot win with what you have in Vegas. I'm sorry. Are you trying to win a Super Bowl? If you do not have a franchise quarterback, the answer is no. It's just that simple. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. You need these kind of guys. Joe Burrow. You must have a guy who is the face of your franchise. If the Raiders do anything at 6, but trade up for Cam Ward or take Shedeur Sanders, what are you doing? Jeanty is not going to move the needle in Vegas. He's going to move the needle in Dallas. Dallas is where he should go. If the Dallas Cowboys do not find a way to get... I mean, who do they have in Dallas? Who do they have? The Dallas Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, and I'm wondering for how long with Parsons. It sounds to me like he's trying to push his way out, too. It's just a horrible franchise now. They need something to galvanize them. They need their new Ezekiel Elliott. The kid fits the mold. I can't see him going anywhere else. But this is why the draft is the draft, man. Because every year you and I have heart attacks doing the show because we cannot believe what just happened. And when Brock Bowers went to the Raiders, I saw your soul leave your body, and I told everybody, I'm like, I don't know what you guys are so upset about. Like, have you studied anything? Have you done any recon on any of these guys? Brock Bowers is the next George Kittle. I told everybody. And look, now everyone loves him. It's kind of the same thing here. You have to draft for need when it comes to franchise quarterback. It cannot be best player available if your quarterback is Aiden O'Connell.
I know.
I'm sorry. Andy Reid. Freaking... all of these great coaches are now in your division. Pete Carroll. You must have a franchise quarterback to keep up with these guys. To me, it's a no-brainer for Dallas. If the Raiders took Jeanty, I'd laugh, honestly. You don't need him. You can get a 7th-round running back, kind of Isaiah Pacheco style. Look at the running backs outside of Saquon this last year in the Super Bowl.
We'll probably do like a top 5 running backs and like
you don't need the kid. You don't need him.
North Carolina. I mean, there are a ton of. I don't think the Raiders will take him, but I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me at the same time because
Raiders are going to Raider. Yeah, he would want his Marshawn Lynch. I think it would be a mistake. But yeah, Jeanty, this kid's the truth, man. The truth. Little small.
The blend of shifty and powerful. He reminds me a lot of Jonathan Taylor. I've seen people say that a lot too. I see that.
He's got some JT to his game. It's like Jonathan Taylor, Le'Veon Bell had a baby. Nice soft hands, good acceleration, good burst, great vision. The kid's the whole package. He got robbed of the Heisman, and I'll never back off this. Just like Lamar got robbed of the MVP. You guys can say whatever you want. Josh Allen was a pity award. Josh Embiid is what that award was. And Kobe Bryant deserves his MVPs back from frickin' Steve Nash. I have spoken.
This is when our lists go off the rail between you and me for sure. Like we're generally aligned. I mean, we stayed the same for 5 of these 6 picks. This is where things go crazy between you and me. I don't know how in the world you did not have this guy in your top 10. I think he's one of the best players in the draft. It's a safety position, so obviously his stock is just, I'm not going to say fall. I'm just saying like the safety position not in the top 5 most important positions. Not to say that he won't be amazing. It's just you're not really going to see a lot of safeties taken in the top 10. It probably will never happen.
Not at all.
They just don't impact the game enough. Not to say they're not important, but it just in terms of impact on the field, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, wide receivers, quarterbacks, they're just always naturally going to be taken in the top 10 because of what they do in the field. But with that said, okay, in terms of pure talent and how good a guy is, Malaki Starks is one of the best players in this draft.
Bro,
ton of production, tons of
pass breakups. He's not even top 20.
Oh, you're insane. Yeah,
he's not even a top 20 pick, bro. Where did Terrion Arnold fall? You have this guy in your top 5. Come on, bro. He is a good player. Okay, he's a good player. But you build, and you know this as much as anyone because you and I 100% agree on this. You build a team from the inside out. There are 2 other players on the same team that I would take over him.
all I'm saying, if we're talking pure talent, this guy is the number 7 most talented player in the draft. Plain and simple, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's not going
I'm
to get
talking
drafted 7th.
interceptions. In terms of being no, he's not going to get picked 7th. Absolutely not. He's not going to be. He's going to fall in my mock draft. He's going to be taken probably 17 to the end of first round. He will be taken in the first round. He's too talented.
He's a first rounder. However, he's a late first
everywhere.
rounder. He's a late first rounder, man. He's not a top 20 player. I like Starks.
In terms of talent, he 100% is. I mean, if you're taking him, you're taking one of the. He will instantly become a top 10 safety in the NFL. I really believe that. A little bit of a down year, but they asked him to do
Josh
things
Simmons
last year.
Will Campbell, Will Johnson. I don't know.
There are players who are going
Tyler Warren. All those guys.
Now we're going to start really disagreeing on some.
All those guys are going way ahead of this guy.
Malaki Starks guy. I think he's amazing.
Good player.
Any person who adds him to their secondary, their defense gets 100% better.
Here's the thing:
in the deep free safety position, he's an absolute.
He's a secondary player. Okay, most teams that are in need of secondary players are drafting early, and they need other help. A secondary player may or may not go win you a Super Bowl Cooper DeJean style, because the Eagles had everything else from the previous 2 drafts. They had everything already. So when it comes down to a Jalon Carter type player versus a Malaki Starks type player, Starks is not getting chosen over that talent.
Let Malaki Starks run and fall to the Eagles. They'll win 2 more Super Bowls in a row.
And this is what I'm saying as well. They'll let him fall because they let Tetairoa Arnold fall. They let Nolan Smith fall. They let Jalon Carter fall because they have so many other needs. The quarterback needy teams, they get him first. Then the running back guys, he's gone. Now it's all about offensive and defensive lines. All of a sudden, these secondary players get pushed back. And if this kid is as good as you think he is, a team would have to take him early. But there are so many other teams that need line help. They need beef. They need edges. They need pass rush. They have no pass rush to speak of, that a guy like Starks is going to get pushed down. Okay, you think he's a top 7 potential because of skill only? Fine. I could live with that. But I have him 31. I have him 31 out of 50.
I think you're nuts for that. I really do.
I've seen this before, man. I've seen it before. It matters where you end up. If this kid ends up on Jacksonville, do you think he's going to have...
No, but I'm not saying anyone's going to take him in the top 10. But I'm saying if you want to go from a pure talent standpoint and a guy who's going to be an instantly good player in the NFL, Malaki Starks is going to. He's a day 1 starter, and he's going to be good for the next 10 years. No doubt in my mind.
He could be. I think it matters who he plays with. I think it matters where he goes. You got to remember, the Georgia Bulldogs are a top 5 program in college football. There's stars all over the field. If he goes to a place where he is the star, you know what I mean? And he's a safety. So he's either a ball hawk or a hard hitter. I mean, the ball's not coming your way 9 out of 10 times. You're run after the catch. I mean, what is his measurables? What's his frame? Looks kind of small to me. See what I mean? Yes, a ball hawking guy like this, a kid who's fast like this and who can, light people up. Yes, but you're going to have to now go to a team that's already loaded. It could be watch the Eagles take Malaki Starks. You've already spoken it into fruition. Watch the shit happen, and they win.
I think a lot of that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of these NFL teams are gonna be like, safety, who cares, and then suddenly the Eagles are drafting at 32, and Malaki Starks is
Chiefs could take him. You know what I mean? They're letting
Justin. I'm telling you,
Justin Reed's gonna probably not be re-signed. I mean, I don't know.
Someone's going to regret letting this guy fall.
Problem is there's so many teams that have so many other needs. I mean, he'd look great in red, but Chiefs have so many other needs. I mean, they got blown up on national TV. You got to fix that line. So now he drops. See, what happens is the rich get richer here. And this is where Howie Roseman lays in the cut and just is rubbing his mittens because, oh, yeah, no one wants this kid. Oh, yeah, no one wants this kid. That's how they put their defense together. That's how they put this defense together. You dummies the Lions letting Jalon Carter fall. It would be one of the Bears. Oh, it's one of the biggest crimes in NFL draft history. Letting Tetairoa Arnold fall. What's wrong with you guys? But again, they have so many other needs. Guys, you only get to draft one guy. And so you have to figure out who that guy is. And when you have a loaded team that's already full and ready to, the Eagles are ready to put together their dynasty. Malaki Starks could just add to it. I hear what you're saying. I just don't have him that high.
So my next one, my number 9 and number 10, I would say for sure, like, it's so just your opinion. Like, you can put 10 players at number 9 and number 10, in my opinion. But this next one, I think you're crazy for not having in your top 10. It's Will Johnson.
I have him
Dude,
at 12.
This guy is an all-pro level. I know he got an injury last year, and I know, like, because of the injury, it seemed like potentially, he slowed down a bit. That's what everyone's scared of. His 40 time is going to be like, dude, everyone's going to be like
Will
salivating.
Johnson is great. I have him literally. I had him at 11, and I bumped him down to 12. He is fantastic. I put on my board. I have Josh Simmons and Will Campbell ahead of him. Which, bro, how are you gonna argue these? But he's great.
Insane ball skills.
Great.
I mean, it'll blow your mind, like this guy's football IQ and his ability to just know where the football is going to go. High level IQ, can change direction at will. Like I said, everyone's afraid of his speed and his injury history, but he's one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he's a guy who just completely, like, he almost has like a middle linebacker's understanding of the game from the cornerback position. That's really the best way I can describe it. And it's just his ability to replays, like the running back slips out of the backfield, he's like on him, dude. Like, it's so crazy, like the way that he just like can see the play happening before it does. And when you combine that with a guy who has the ability to change direction at will, you're talking about a very dangerous person. This is another person who, if the Raiders picked at 6, I would not blink an eye. He's one of my favorite players in the draft.
Everybody needs a shutdown corner.
Skilled.
6'2", 202 has all the tools. What I really like about him is I like his long arms. I like his long arms, man. You know what I mean? What are you going to be doing at that position? It's PBUs. Everyone wants an interception and a pick six, but like, look at a guy like Kansas City's number 1 cornerback. Like, he's not getting tons of picks, but the pass breakups are insane. That's what you want. Okay, that's what you want out of your number 1 cornerback, and someone's going to get a really good player here. I'm trying to think where he would go, what the good spot for him would be. Maybe like a Miami. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's on his way out. There's a team out there that is starved for a number 1 corner. I mean, like I was saying, like McDuffie is great. But this kid has the potential to be as good, if not better. I like his tape. He comes from a good school. What you were saying about knowing where the ball is going, kind of like having like a little sprinkle of Luke Kuechly to him, you know what I mean, at that position, because it's almost like the ball gets thrown to him as if it was meant to be thrown to him.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, how is this guy running down the field freely 50 yards and there's no one around him? Like, did you design the play for him? It's insane. And so, yes, I like him a lot. I have him right outside my top 10. He needs to go to a team that really, really needs a cornerback badly and to perform well his rookie year, second year, and he'll get a nice little deal, man. He'll be, in my estimation, in 2 years, a top 10 cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, I just think that Patrick Graham would just love having a guy like this on his defense, and you pair him against Jack Jones, who's more of like a risk maker at the cornerback position. Talking about a lot of turnovers because you're playing like a guessing game. You're playing the lottery every time you pass the ball with those two guys on the field. Like, Jack Jones is not a number 1 cornerback. Like,
no, but he makes plays.
But
he makes
plays, and if you put him in position to be a playmaker and not just a shutdown corner guy, and you have Will Johnson being that shutdown guy, I mean, you're talking about a special defense. I'm of the thought in the Raiders, and I know how important the quarterback position is. First of all, no matter what quarterback you get this year, the Raiders are not contenders next year. So you just this is what the Raiders did last year. They took a guy who is like an all-pro level tight end. If you just close your eyes in a metaphorical way, and every time you draft in the top 10, you're taking an all-pro talent, eventually you're going to open your eyes and you're going to have a Super Bowl roster because there's going to be so much talent on your team. And like I said, I think that the Raiders should seriously consider taking him at the number 6 spot. Would it be considered like reaching by some draft experts? I think reaching is the most overrated metric in all of the NFL draft because
you draft for need.
No,
you
You draft guys who are good. You know what I mean? It's
Draft
like,
for need.
oh, Will Johnson would have been better as the 11th pick. It's like when you look at the Super Bowl and you're looking at the defensive line, do you remember all of them were drafted? You don't. You look at the guys who are making plays. You know what I mean? And I just feel like he's one of those guys where you just can't go wrong if you pick him. I just think he's so talented, man. He's one of my favorite players in the draft.
He's the Cam Ward of quarterbacks. That's what he is. He is a playmaker. The guy is great. I don't see him going to the Raiders at 6, and I think if they did, it would be a stretch. I'm sorry. Anything out of picking a quarterback number 1 for the Raiders is a F to me. How many years are we going to do this? You are not going to be able to compete versus Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert with Aiden O'Connell. You're just not. I'm sorry. Not well. And if you just keep telling yourself next year, eventually next year might never come. You have to build a roster, and it starts with the quarterback. You're doing really, really well because you've got the owner, you've got the GM, and now you've got the coach. You got your coordinators set. Like, what you're doing is wonderful. You love to see it. I don't care. I'm an AFC West guy. This is great. NFL is better when the Raiders are good. Don't waste a pick on a guy like this when you don't have the number 1 piece on the field. Take Shedeur Sanders, trade up for Cam Ward, swing for the fences, and wait and see what happens. To me, anything but that don't make sense. It'd be nice to have this kid on the Chiefs. Do we need him? No. You know what I mean? My offensive line is like the border in Mexico. Pre-Trump. I can't worry about taking a cornerback. You know what I mean? Where's the beef? Be smart here. Next.
All right, I'm going to go off the deep end for the last two. I'm going for Hail Marys. All I need is a pop fly to win the game in baseball. I'm going for the home run.
This guy's not even on my list.
I know. I bet you these next two guys aren't even on your list.
This guy's not even my top 50.
I'm going for Hail Marys at number 9 because if I'm right, if I'm right,
guys, I apologize. I apologize from World of Matchups for what's taking place right now.
You'll thank me when this guy is a superstar in the NFL. Luther Burden III. The production was not there last year. I understand this. You're talking about if Travis Hunter didn't exist, the most explosive athlete from the wide receiver position in this year's draft. His quarterback was a steaming pile of garbage. I'm sorry, last year at Mizzou. I mean, they just couldn't get this guy the ball. But when you look at the value of the slot position in the modern NFL, and if you get this guy the ball, he could score a touchdown on almost every play. He's also got the size, which I like. He reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown without the route tree. But in every other aspect, this guy is like, I feel like I'm looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown. The ball touches his hands in the right position. You're talking about a guy who could be like a 13-yard, 10-touchdown guy on any given season. That's what I think is very unique about him. You also have the Oregon receiver, Tez, who's like almost similar, where he's only a slot guy, but he's like 5'9". This guy is not 5'9", and he's just as explosive as an athlete. If he goes to the right team, man, if he went to like the Chiefs or something, that'd be absolutely insane. I mean, they can't take him now because Xavier Worthy is, but I almost think he'd be a better fit there. But if you could take him, if this guy goes to like the Rams or something, it would be so stupid. I think a good offensive coordinator can turn this guy into a superstar. He also has that superstar mentality. If you listen to this guy speak, he's so pumped, man. Like I don't know. Like I think he has the mind of a great, not to say that he is like to the talent level of a great, but in terms of like putting him in the right position, you're talking about a potential offensive rookie of the year. I'm that high on this guy. I know the quarterback is obviously like the most popular offensive rookie of the year thing, but I'm talking about like at a skill position could easily be the best to come out of this year's draft. I know it's a bit crazy, but first of all, he's going to be taken in the first round. I think you've seen this in the last few like drafts too. Like Xavier Worthy had a second round grade, but because teams need wide receivers so badly, they just get taken in the first, and this guy 100% will. I think the Rams would legitimately take a guy like this
because Cooper Kupp is gone. This is a good. He'll be good on the Rams. You need somebody to take a little bit of pressure off Puka. He's a little smaller, but it could be. This is one of those game day steals, draft day steals. I understand why you like this kid. I do. But it's got to be situational. It has to be. I mean, where's he gonna go? Denver? Denver don't need this guy. There's a guy just like him there in Mims. Like Carolina. They don't need him in there. You got Coker. He has to go to the right place for it to work out. Kansas City, no, they got Worthy. You see what I mean? This kid is not going to come in and be a number one wide receiver. He's going to come in. He's going to be a 3, maybe a 4, and have to force his way up the depth chart and get a shot through injury or something. He's got good hands, and he kind of reminds me, this is a perfect comp. Remember last year how high we were both on Malaki Corley? This is this year's Malaki Corley.
I could easily see that.
Malaki Corley caught 2 balls last year. Now, granted, it's the Aaron Rodgers curse. So he gets a pass from me because Malaki Corley is a dog. But he dropped 1 ball and never saw the field again. And he's every bit as talented as this kid. And so I get why you have him there. He ain't even in my top 50. This is a day 3. Late day 2.
He's
player.
100% a first round pick.
You're out of your mind.
He will be taken in the first round. Dude, if he's
to who? By who?
I think he's taken late first.
By who?
By any team. Let's go to Tankathon real quick. I'm going to take a look down the list. I'll tell you exactly.
You know what I mean? By who? It's got to go somewhere.
Steelers, the Chargers, another
Chargers need help.
Needy team at the wide receiver position. I like the Rams. I could easily
Rams
see
for sure.
26.
Rams for sure.
Probably not none of these other teams.
If those teams pass on him, he's day 2, late.
Yeah. Well, I think early day 2. Then if look at the Browns, man. The Browns needed wide receiver help so badly. You're telling me if he slips to the second round, somehow they wouldn't very easily.
Yeah.
The Giants. Oh my gosh. I mean, literally every team in the top 5 needs a wide receiver on their team. The Titans, the Jaguars, the Raiders, the Patriots. Dude, this guy is. If he's over under is set at 37 or something like that in terms of draft position, I'm mortgaging all of my money. I'm taking all my money out of my stocks and I'm putting
it. Not me. I'm going over, man. There's too many situations where teams need beef. There's just too many, man. See, what you got to remember, recency bias also, guys, is such a real thing. And you watched one of the greatest quarterbacks and the greatest coaches and offenses in the history of the game fail to get across the 50-yard line 9 times. Other teams are going to now try to emulate how to do that. And they're going to do that with picking offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Wide receivers, there's a million good wide receivers in the National Football League. Tons of them. You can find a wide receiver at Target. I'm telling you, this guy, I would go way over. He's to me, day 2, day 3 guy. Again, Malaki Corley is what comes to mind, and he was a day 3 pick who was a dog in college and never saw the field in the NFL. He never saw the field. I would take Corley over this guy 1,000 out of 1,000 guys. Next.
I think this guy's really good. All right, rounding things out. I don't know where you have this guy. This is another one of those kind of polarizing prospects, but for me, it's James Pierce, the edge out of Tennessee.
I have him. Let me see. Do I even have him?
You have him on your list?
No. He's right outside 30 for me. I have him behind Mason Taylor
there are some people
and Tyler Booker.
Some people love him as their favorite edge in the draft. I mean, outside of Abdul Carter, you know what I mean? I personally like the guy. I understand why he's so polarizing, but what I think you're getting, first of all, is unique size, a versatile defender,
6'5".
Played all over the field. Yeah, good. I like his size. I like his football IQ. And he has shown a good amount of bend. Not the most. He's not the most bendy player in the draft, but he has shown that unique trait of bend, which, again, I put very high on my list.
I watched him versus Ohio State get absolutely blown off the field, though.
Well,
he drops into coverage. I like that. I do like that. I like his size. I like this guy. Again, this is another one of those guys that you really love that I can't see fitting anywhere 30 before 30. I just can't, not with the talent that's needed. I
Well,
just
I
can't
think
do
the
it.
edge position, man. I think he's going to be pushed up. I think he's going to get taken in the top 15. Uh, this
There's
is
no way. There's no way. I
the
got
number
a
one
I got a
detriment to
Del
this guy.
Taco gift card that says that ain't happening, bro.
I got you here. I'll take it. I love my burritos. Uh, I think that if the number one thing that is keeping this guy down is not being strong enough, you're talking about the NFL, dude. These guys can micromanage your strength. He's going to beef up huge. And when he does, you're talking about one of the most skilled, like purely skilled, like he does everything, but like he can get pushed off the line. That's his problem.
Hmm.
But if he gets stronger and you look at the skill tree that this guy has, from his position, and he can play linebacker. He's played middle linebacker for them. I don't think he will in the NFL necessarily.
No,
I think
too
he's a
small.
versatile edge linebacker hybrid kind of guy. And when you think about the bend, and if you add the strength to his profile and his football IQ, which I really, 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 really like, people say he looks like Brian Burns. I've heard people compare him to Montez Sweat. I think this guy's going to be a very productive NFL player. I think he deserves to be in top 10 of prospects. He's not going to get taken in the top 10. He's going to be taken in the first round. He's too interesting of a prospect in terms of his athletic profile not to be taken very high.
Yeah, he's rangy. I'm not a big fan of the hybrid tag that people put on guys. I want you to be one thing, and I want you to be good at that. If you're gonna be an edge, be an edge. Go get that quarterback. If you're gonna be a D lineman, stop the run, block. Be that. You know what I mean? Yeah, he does so many different things well. Yeah, but I don't need you to do so many different things well at that position. I want you to see ball, get ball. That's what I need, you know. And like I said, when I watched Ohio State play Tennessee, this guy was getting mopped up left and right. At that size, now Ohio State has one of the best college football teams of probably the last decade, but still, you know what I mean? Like I'm not loving it. If he's not getting to the quarterback and sacking the quarterback, what he's pretty much useless to me. I don't need a guy dropping in coverage at that position. So, is it nice? Yes, but there's a reason why I have him that late. And I mean, again, not that my football IQ is Mel Kiper or anything. I'm not saying anything like that. But if he was really that good, he'd be a top 10 player. You know what I mean? And I know there's not a ton of edges here. There's not a ton of edges. That's the thing.
No.
So I could see how somebody would be like, he's my favorite edge. Well, yeah, you're only picking from 3 or 4 edges. You understand? There's a bunch of DTs. There's a bunch of linemen. There's all kinds of quarterbacks. He'll fall down the board. I don't think he's a day one guy, but he'll go to a good team for sure. He is NFL pro ready. He is NFL pro ready. He'll have to bulk up. 243
Got to
is
bulk up, man.
243 is too small.
Way
too small. Way too
but
small.
that's what I like. I mean, those traits it's so hard to teach, but
Yeah.
getting stronger, dude.
You can feed a guy peanut butter and jelly every day and get him to where you need him to.
Nutritionists when they get to the NFL and
Yes.
personal workout.
Yeah. Give him 10 egg scrambles every day. Like
I'm not worried about him getting stronger. At least that I can say.
You can work on that. The technique he does have, so the potential to go. And at Tennessee, you're playing quality coverage, quality guys. You know, quality competition. So yeah, I could see it. I don't love the last two, but I get it. I get where you're coming from. To me, there's just too many amazing players to have passed up to pick any of those guys. I mean, like
this is where I'm going to start fighting back against you a little bit. I'll pull up your list now.
To me, Tyler Warren is a slept on player. He's going to be so good in the NFL, man. Everybody
have him as your number 5 prospect, man.
I love this kid, man.
Bananas.
I absolutely love this kid, man. I watched him at Penn State. He was the best player on the field versus Oregon. Nobody could guard him. 6'6", hands, inline blocking. You're crazy if you don't think this kid is going to go to a good team and be a difference maker right away. Everyone said the same thing about Bowers. Now, is he Bowers? No, because the division he plays in, the conference he plays in, the competition he plays in, not as good. But you can't tell me this kid can't do the same kinds of things. Yes, he lumbers around and is not as fluid as Brock Bowers, but I'm telling you, this kid ain't lasting to pick 15. There's no way.
It's not that I don't think he's going to last until pick 15, but he is definitely not comparable to Brock Bowers. He can technically do whatever you ask of him. I think he's a worse blocker than most people give him credit for, if I'm being honest. I think that he can get bullied around. I don't think this is a guy you want to be a full-time. I'm not going to say no one's really a full-time blocker anymore at the tight end position.
No,
And
he's
look,
going to
yes,
be more.
He'll
be more Kelsey. He'll be more
he
Kelsey
doesn't have
than
like that route tree. I don't see the smoothness. All of his looks were like designed looks, man. I didn't see a lot of like kind of just being able to he did again, he lined up everywhere, and that's where a lot of his production is going to come from mismatches. But this is not like an explosive athlete like Brock Bowers.
he is a zone look tight end, which you can make a career off of in this NFL. The way these guys play man and press,
career, but I just
he's going to have a great career. He is also the type of guy that it matters where he goes. Brock Bowers was Brock Bowers because the Raiders had no one else. So he catches 100 balls. Dude, Brock Bowers was Brock Bowers because the Raiders are down in every single game. Of course you're throwing the ball. You put Brock Bowers on a team with a run game that's up by 10 most games. You put Brock Bowers on the Eagles, he's no better than the Eagles tight end right now. This is a fact. And so while he's great, and I love the kid, and I was enamored with the pick, you got to understand, man, where he falls matters. There's teams out there with no tight ends, with great quarterbacks. All of a sudden, to turn this kid into a star in this league, man. He was a man amongst boys in a lot of games for Penn State, which plays against pretty decent competition. He's the number one tight end on my board, and tight ends are not easy to find. He is not going outside the top 15 at all.
Oh, he's very easily the number one tight end, but
easy.
He's just not my favorite prospect.
Yeah, because he's kind of like Lurch. Because he doesn't look good doing it. Guys, the last time I checked, 7 points is 7 points, no matter how it looks. You know what I mean? So he doesn't glide through the air like Jordan, and he doesn't catch the ball like Kittle. But his routes are still smooth. He still gets open, and zone coverage he destroys. He's top. Jeanty for sure. I like Jalon Walker. I don't know why you don't like Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons, to me, prior to the injury, is the number one left tackle in the National Football League. Left tackles are absolutely gold. If you don't have a left tackle, guys will give anything to get one. Anything. Mykel Williams, I love, and we'll count again. I mean, we can talk about this till the cows come home. The beef is where you win. Guys, if you can't win both lines, you can't win. If you can win one line, you can maybe pull out a win if you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. But you must win. The game is won in the trenches. How anyone has a player that is not a generational quarterback or running back in their top 10 is crazy to me. I like Jalon Walker. I just like the guy. I like the way he hits. I like the way he covers the middle of the field. So I snuck him in there. But the rest of the guys, to me, are no-brainers, man. No-brainers. You have to be able to stop the run, get to the quarterback, and protect your quarterback. If you don't have 7 of these players in your top 10, guys, you don't know ball. You don't. I'm sorry.
Let me talk about each of these prospects. It's not like I hate any of them, by the way. So I agree that these guys are like in the top 15-ish discussion. I'll talk about Jalon Walker, who I think I like the most out of these guys on your list for sure. Good game sense, special speed for his position for sure. I think he has a really good football IQ, but he could be very dangerous in the right system. Also like a speed rusher from the edge. So kind of like a weird kind of hybrid linebacker edge. Like you're not going to play this guy full-time at edge. He's just too small and he just couldn't do it. So I think he's going to be asked because of his speed to play the middle linebacker position, maybe a little bit more. And I think that he's going to be good in coverage packages, but I think there's a lot of questions when it comes to can he play the middle linebacker position. Does he have that level of skill when it came there? Because he didn't really play the middle linebacker position. He's more of a coverage linebacker, outside linebacker, edge kind of guy, but he is quite small for his position. And like, yes, he was effective because of the game sense against the run in college, but he's gonna be playing against a lot bigger guys, man. I don't know.
You can beef him up. You see, again, coming back to what we said before.
I like him.
He has the intangibles. If size is what matters, feed him in gym and then lock him in the gym. Okay, he's 242, so you need to get him to 260. Dude, that ain't hard to do.
I like him for
He
sure.
is
I just don't
stud,
know
bro.
about his coverage abilities at the higher level. We'll have to see. That's
Yeah,
his
but they
biggest
may
question.
they may not ask him to do that. That's the thing. I mean, and he also played on one of the greatest college football teams this year. He was surrounded by studs. So where
I
he
know
falls
tons
is
of
also
NFL
going to
talent.
tons of dude. Georgia cooks pros, man.
I do.
They cook pros, man. That's what they do. This guy's
Yeah,
an
you have Mykel
amazing
Williams,
player.
and I already talked about Malaki Starks. I mean, you're talking about like three like top 15-ish like talents in the NFL draft on one team is crazy.
Yeah,
Talk about Josh Simmons. He obviously was considered a top 10 pick before his injury.
let him fall
Tearing
to
your
Kansas
ACL is
City.
pretty rough.
Let him
I
fall to
mean,
Kansas City.
he's definitely not going to fall that far. He's
People
going
are
to be
going to be
taken top
scared on the
15.
injury.
People
I
just need
hope.
offensive linemen too much. I mean, they kind of transcend the whole injury scare thing, in my opinion. But he's great. First of all, he's huge, and he looks like freakish for his
Humongous.
size, and his speed for his
Humongous.
size. Like it'll almost like it looks like he's an alien sometimes. If I'm being honest, like it's just something that you just like. You look at your screen and you see this like giant like move with the speed that he does. So
He's a
I do
mammoth.
like that.
I love the
A
kid.
very good run defender. Obviously very productive when he was healthy. But also he doesn't have the best hands. Like he needs that initial point of contact, and if he loses it, and first of all, I'm not the best offensive line scout. I will say this. I kind of listen to other guys and their opinions on it because there's just a lot of nuance to the position.
I
But
think hands are overrated.
I think very skilled, like bendy kind of pass rushers are going to be a big problem for him. But I do like him. He's definitely a top 15 player.
He's
Without a
huge.
doubt. I like him more than Will Campbell, like you do. So,
I like him
Mykel
more
Williams,
than Will Cam.
I'll talk about him. He's not my. The talent is there, and he also has like
So talented, bro.
has grown man strength. You know what I mean? Like straight out of college is crazy.
Which is what you
Super
need for
active
the
with his
NFL.
hands,
Mm-hmm.
uses his size for leverage.
Gets to
I
the
like his
quarterback.
IQ, but I don't know, man. He's not refined in the pass rush moves, and I saw that out of Tyree Wilson, and you can even say that about he reminds me a lot of Trayvon Walker, which makes sense because he's from Georgia too, and obviously they have an archetype of a guy who they like on their defensive line. But and Walker has increased his production. He's like one of the most quiet first round picks you'll ever hear from in history of the NFL. It's going to be the same thing for Mykel Williams. He's going to have very good grown man strength, even considering in the NFL. But like the fact that he uses that as his number one skill set to like be an effective pass rusher is what worries me at the NFL level. Like I don't think he's going to have a super productive rookie season. And are you really going to spend a top 10 pick on a guy who's not going to be productive right away? I don't know. I think that's a very difficult thing to convince a team to do because you just see it every year. Happened with Tyree Wilson. Happens with Trayvon Walker. It's like, yeah,
and
in
those
the
are
long
good
run,
players.
maybe they're
And those
good.
are
I don't know.
players.
I worry about guys like that. I think as the years have gone on and we've done this process and I've just seen tons of guys like this, I tend to back off them a little bit more, knowing that like they're just not going to have the moves that they need to be really, really good right away.
Yeah, I could see it. I think it's a gamble with Williams, but that's a gamble I'm willing to take because the guy gets after the quarterback with a reckless abandon that it's hard to find, man. These motor guys, the NFL's not filled with them. You know what I mean? It's not. There's a lot of guys that kind of go through the motions or use, well, I'm just big. You know what I mean? Where I can get around a guy. He's a total package, man. I like him a lot. I mean, I get what you're saying, but some of the guys that you had on your list would never, ever, ever go before this guy for me. Like never.
It's not about where they're going to be drafted. We'll do our mock drafts, and it'll look very different than my top 10 prospect list.
For sure. But like that's my list.
Yeah, I'll talk about Will Campbell too, just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the biggest Will Campbell guy, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think he's good, but like even going back to last year's draft, like where would Will Campbell fall for me? He's around that Fuaga range, that 15 to 17 range. He's going to get pushed up big time because he's kind of the only guy, like when it comes to the offensive tackle position out of Josh Simmons, it's like him and Will Campbell. No one else is really entering that conversation, like even close to that. So I think he gets boosted a lot, raw strength, good footwork, doesn't have a good first point of contact. And he does have shorter arms. Personally, I think he's going to be, if they want to get the most out of Will Campbell and be a top tier player, he's going to have to switch to the left guard position. And I just don't know. There's no team that's really going to do that in the top 10. They're taking him in the top 10. They're playing him at the left tackle position. I just don't think that's ideal for him. I think he's better as an inline guy. Personally, I just don't think he's the most skilled. I think he would, like I said, I think he would fall a little bit in last year's draft. I don't think he would be like a top 10 pick for sure.
There were so many offensive linemen last year. There were so many. I mean, there were so many offensive linemen this year. There's only a handful that are.
He doesn't compare to Joe Alt, right? Like talking about last year.
No. Joe Alt is in a different stratosphere. He had a nice rookie season too, by the way. Joe Alt is
awesome.
Yeah, he's going to be protecting Justin Herbert for 10 years. You know what I mean? Maybe even longer, depending on how this thing shakes out. But it's just, again, like the draft, it's just a matter of need. There's going to be, I mean, this is going to be a really good draft. I'm really excited to do this draft show. A lot of talent's going to get pushed down again, and my fear is that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to find a way to one of these stud players again. And again, it's just, I mean, literally, I mean, that's the team now that we have to worry about because they're already so loaded. You know what I mean? They hit on two. They fixed their secondary in one day. They hit on in one day. I mean, Cooper DeJean in the same afternoon. I mean, we cannot let this happen again. You know, I'm not saying it has to be Kansas City, but it can't be the Eagles again. I can't listen to this fan base another year. I can't do it. That's the show, guys. A little bit longer, but we got a lot to talk about because a lot of good players out there.
So much more to talk about. The quarterback position, maybe we need to cover next, our top 5. Because
we'll do probably top 5 cornerbacks. We'll do top 5 running backs, top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 wide receivers. I mean, we got plenty of time before draft day. I mean, I know it's March Madness right now, but that doesn't move me like football, so we're going to keep the football going. World of Matches bringing the heat every Saturday, or right now every other Saturday, every 2 weeks. We'll keep you guys abreast of what we're thinking about doing. And if you guys have any questions, problems, concerns, you want to comment on what you don't like or what you do like, we're always open into listening. That's pretty much it. Spencer, closing thoughts.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Very exciting. Like we already talked about, like picks 10 through 32, man. It's going to be such a crapshoot. We'll be shocked on draft day. There's no doubt about it. Even in the top 5, man. It's going to be complete chaos this year. This is going to test the strength of your front office and their coordination because you're going to have to make decisions that you have 2 minutes for, like easily. That's very stressful.
GMs are earning their money this draft.
They are. Yeah, they are.
They're earning their money this draft. That's it, guys. Enjoy the show. We're out. We'll be back whenever we're back. God bless. Take it easy. And always go Chiefs. Peace.